Hey, everybody. Welcome to tonight's late night happy hour. Brian Kamenetzky and Andy Kamenetzky calling a small audible with just Lana Berry, the host of the Lana Berry Show with Lana Berry, which I love. It's a great title. I like that you have the tag there. Thank you very much for coming on. Molly and I had to cancel late, but we're going to get her on at some point. Hopefully the Dodgers stick out the first round against the Brewers, and we'll get Molly back soon, because otherwise... If 2020 is the Dodgers, I'm going to be real pissed.
I mean, it's 2020. Anything could happen.
I'm really torn between not wanting to see that happen to Molly, because Molly's my friend and I know what this will mean to her, but also wanting to see her reaction if it actually happens. Like, just because she's such a passionate Dodger fan and she really genuinely cares. Seeing them lose in the first round to the Brewers in, if we're really being honest, a total bullshit setup that they should have to play a best of three in the first round, having won the entire National League. I would be curious to see how she'd react. I just don't want to see it happen.
In a best of three, Lana, not even like a real series. In a best of three, they have to do this.
Yeah, it's not ideal, considering that there's really no perk for winning the division or, having the best record in the league anymore. So what's even the point? Like, it's basically a wild card series that they earned.
I mean, is a best of three against a sub 500 team? Like, you might as well just say, guys, we're going to play a game of horse. Like, it has that much relation to what happened in the regular season, which itself was okay. So you actually have paid. I think I'm not speaking out of turn here when I say you've paid way more attention to the baseball season than Andy and I have combined.
Okay.
In the sense that I missed the whole thing.
Okay, well, then
I missed it. It happened, and it's the playoffs.
I've actually seen a decent amount, just because my wife is a massive Dodger fan. Oh. So I actually have seen clearly more than Brian, if nothing else.
Right. I mean, I've watched the end of a lot of games, because that's when basketball is over. The kids go to sleep, and I see the 7th through 9th or extra innings, which I love. I've decided, but we'll get back to that. What has been your what have you thought about all this, this season, before we even get into the Dodgers? What is this that we've watched?
I don't even know. Nothing makes sense this year in general, and the's so much going on in general. So it doesn't
Tonight
feel
was
like
interesting.
Real sports. It feels like we're in kind of a dream, and none of this actually really matters. And it's a weird year because we've got the weird playoff setup for baseball. Literally anything can happen in 3 games in baseball. All bets are off. It's totally pointless. But beyond that, we've got the weird 60-game season. They had spring training and then nothing, and then spring training 2.0, and then the season started really fast. So it's weird, because now, is the best team going to win? Does the best team ever win? Hardly ever. Is the best team going to win this year? Probably not. And more importantly, every team that loses can blame every single thing that's happened this year on why they didn't win, unless you're the Astros, in which case we know why you didn't win this year. But
the Astros won today.
What? They did win today. I was surprised.
I'm not, because 2020.
Nothing's surprising anymore.
Well, of course. But of course the Astros are going to win in 2020.
Yeah, maybe they will win the whole thing this year. Wouldn't that be fun for everybody?
Motherfuckers.
That would be. I mean, can you imagine? Because, this year has been so bad with blank. Just casual baseball fans, people who have no real investment in any of this, but just don't like to see the villains win. Can you imagine the reaction to the Astros in what was supposed to be their big come-up-in season, where they were supposed to spend the entire year basically just barnstorming around different stadiums getting booed?
Yeah.
They end up winning the World Series after not having to hear from any fans at all.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's just the worst. They basically didn't even get punished, and now the one thing that could be taken into people's hands beyond the Joe Kelly incident is just not there anymore.
Right. You weren't even allowed to throw at them.
Yeah.
And I don't even support that kind of thing. But it's like, where is the righteous judgment here? Like, the sports karma, if they win the World Series, will absolutely be non-existent, and that's horrible. I'm very angry about it.
It's, as far as I'm concerned, this year's a wash. It's just didn't really happen.
Just in everything. I'm not even, honestly, I mean, I've been carrying this for a while. I'm not even convinced that Joe Kelly meant to throw at whose ever head it was in the first place.
Did you see the video of him in the off season where he broke that window when he was like throwing?
Honestly,
all over the place.
During that game in particular, if Dave Roberts had said, go plunk him in the head,
I don't think he could.
No. I mean, he's got the
Joe Kelly.
No, but I mean, that inning, he was all over the place. Like, he actually has the greatest plausible deniability. You know, when he goes in front of baseball, he's like, look, have you watched me? Like, do you honestly think that I have any control over this whatsoever? Are you familiar with my career?
He gave us the one great moment from this entire season.
Yes.
And so that's something I will carry with me forever. That one moment, like, made me like baseball again. 2017 killed baseball for me, and that one little moment really brought it back.
Yeah, it was fun. I just think it's hilarious that he became this folk hero, and, like, you know, the guy who finally answered the call of the fans, and he did what everyone. I'm like, Joe Kelly wasn't even trying to do that. No. Like, if you gave him 100 more tries to do that, like, he'd miss.
But he still played into it, and it was so good.
Yes.
Well, no, but you have to recognize the moment. You seize what's in front of you. You do something accidentally, but to recognize the opportunity. So good. Tremendous respect.
Oh yeah, he gave the people what they wanted. I just don't think it was on purpose.
But it's like when you fall and then you fall into like this perfect tumble. It was like that. Like, he kind of fell into it and he just rode it, and it was just.
You do the little curtsy at the end.
It's the opposite of when you see the person, you wave them and they ignore you, and you do the little hair. Like, yeah, ooh, right. Like, it's the opposite of that.
It was so cool.
So now,
legitimately cool.
Have you been able to get into baseball at all, though, this year?
No. I've watched a lot of baseball this year, but it still feels just really off. Like, it's mostly regaining my love for the weird quirks of baseball, just because it's been so weird. But it's been really hard to get into like the actual, like, this could be the year baseball. Like, it's just like anything can happen. I have the lowest of low expectations, and it's just laughing at the weird Fox, audience graphics and the weird.
You've had a great time, like, DMing people to play certain music during games, and like, it happens.
Well, so this is funny because some of the teams, so normally in baseball, you're not playing music in between pitches, in between at bats, maybe in between innings, definitely, but in between a pitch and an at bat, that does not happen. But some teams have started playing music like in between the at bats, and it's so weird because it's a basketball thing where you just have music all the time. And the D-backs were playing the most random songs in between every at bat, and it turns out that like someone who works in stadium ops follows me on Twitter and was like, "Oh, do you have requests?" And I was like, I do. So I ended up with one. I just asked for Hot in Here by Nelly, which is like my trademark anthem. And then we just kept asking, and they kept playing. We got like 5 or 6 songs played by the end of it. And it was the most I've enjoyed baseball this year outside of the Joe Kelly.
What were some of the other songs?
Oh my God. I can't even remember now because they were so random. Careless Whisper was the second one. And it was just, because some of them were kind of crowdsourced, like people started asking me to ask them to play songs, and it was a really enjoyable experience. They should really keep doing that because I felt very engaged in the game.
Wasn't there somebody on the Dodgers who actually had Careless Whisper as his at-bat music?
Greinke did.
Thank you. I knew there was somebody.
Yeah, Greinke did.
I liked him. I mean, he's still like around. He's still with us. That Greinke of blessed memory. It's a shame what happened to him. But like, it's actually been like I check things. I see kind of what's in. Like, stuff happens so fast. You know, like Kenta Maeda has been amazing this year. Like stuff like that kind of flew under, and I like the Twins. I kind of just liked it conceptually. You know, as an idea, like the Twins, they're cute. They play in Minnesota, and the little cartoon guy, and
they beat the Cardinals in '87.
I know, but that was Don Denkinger's fault. No, that was 85. That was 85. That was really Kirby Puckett's fault.
Yeah, for being good.
Yeah. I've gotten over it. But like, you just like stuff like that happens too fast. And I haven't seen enough like completely weird statistical stuff to be completely all in on what could have been fun about this year. Like, look, this guy I've never heard of is hitting 900. The Marlins made the playoffs, yeah.
For the first time since 2003. And you know why they made the postseason? First, because they missed a bunch of games because of COVID, but also because this year makes no sense. And it's a 60-game season, and all of a sudden they're just playing. And wait a second, now it's the postseason? Like, that's how this year felt. It wasn't like a build-up to it. Watching games the last 2 weeks wasn't that exciting, at least for me. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, the playoffs are starting? But the Marlins are in it. And that's hilarious to me. And if the Dodgers can't win this year, I'm all in on the Marlins.
Donnie, well, look, you get a former Dodger manager in Donnie Baseball.
He's the best.
He is great. I really liked Don Mattingly when he was here. And it's if you're not going to get the team that you really want, you might as well just get the weirdest one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it would be hard to get weirder than the Marlins, you know, who basically were a human hotspot, like at the beginning, like a hot zone. At the beginning of the season, like the Marlins looked like they were going to single-handedly derail this entire season, and now they're in the playoffs.
Also have been funny.
Yeah, well, I mean,
its own way.
It's funny in the sense that it's Florida, and it's so Florida that something like that happens.
Also, the Marlins are just kind of forgotten about a lot, and so if you have like this team that like hasn't made much noise in the recent years beyond just weird stuff happening and Derek Jeter and the home run dinger machine statue, you know, it's to have them be the ones who are like, we just can't have baseball this year. Which I think if it was the Marlins, I'm pretty sure Manfred would have just been like, the Marlins are just out. Like, we're just keep going, but the Marlins are done.
Well, here's an interesting factoid from Mean Ray's Last. The Marlins always win when they get in, though. They've never not won.
And they've also never won their division.
Which also means, by the way, if history holds, if the Marlins win the World Series this year, they're going to break up the team. Like immediately after they win the World Series.
Who's even on the Marlins?
How do you break up the Marlins?
I have no idea. They'll figure out how. I mean, that's basically what they do. They win a World Series and then they blow the thing up.
Who's good on them? I mean, I'm honestly asking, who is good on the Marlins?
I don't know.
If you put a gun to my head and said your family's life rests on being
no. Stop. We're going to play, is this person a Marlin? Well, you finish your thought. I'll bring up the roster.
Literally,
Florida Marlin or not.
I would be like planning my family's funeral. Like I don't know a single person on the Marlins.
I'm pretty sure Alfaro was on the Marlins.
I don't know who that is.
Is that his first name or last name?
That's his last name.
I was hoping it was one name.
Jorge Alfaro.
Yes, he's a catcher.
Yeah, he's a catcher.
1-0 Lana.
Yeah. I was hoping that Alfaro was just a one-named athlete, like Pele.
That's his only name.
Or Neymar.
If you told me Alfaro sang the theme to the latest Bond film, I'd been like, okay, I believe you.
Who else is on the Marlins? Is there anyone that we know?
Yes. Okay. I will go through and I will name all the people that I've heard of.
Okay.
Brad Boxberger.
Who?
Oh, old friend alert. Yimi Garcia.
Oh, okay.
Garcia's on the
Brandon
No.
Kinsler was a Dodger briefly, wasn't he?
Who?
Brandon Kinsler?
That
Maybe?
sounds
I don't know.
familiar. Maybe.
I think I'm thinking of Ian Kinsler.
I've heard of Jose Urena.
Nope.
I have heard of Jesus Aguilar.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know who that is.
I do not know who Jazz Chisholm is, but that is a great
That's
name.
a great name.
Wait, what's his name?
Jazz Chisholm. That's spectacular. He's my favorite player. Matt Joyce, I've heard of.
Yeah.
Starling Marte, I've heard of.
Yeah.
Okay, I know who Starling Marte is.
Oh
Not
my
one.
God. Can you believe this? Jazz Chisholm might be the second best name on this team because there's a fellow named Magnerius Sierra who plays for the Marlins. That is strong.
That's a good name.
What was that? Magnerius Sierra.
That's like the name of a horse, like a racehorse.
or a pro wrestler.
I mean that in the nicest way possible.
I'm
Wait,
sure
that's
that's
a great
I'm
name.
sure that's how we think of it too.
Oh my God. Jazz Chisholm's actual first name is Jazz. Like it's not a nickname or shortened. Like it's actually Jazz.
What would it be short for?
Yeah, what would Jazz be short?
I have no idea. I've never
Jazarius? I mean, what kind of name? Whose name is Jazz?
I've never
for short.
I've never heard of anybody being named Jazz, period. So I thought maybe it was a nickname, like
for Jasmine, but for me.
yes, maybe Jasmine, like he's
Very
named
progressive
named after his favorite aunt or something like that, or it was a nickname like Tiger, like so, like I don't. I mean, there's no expectation that somebody's given name is Jazz. That's unusual.
Oh, that part I agree with. But like, how many games did the Marlins even end up playing? Did they play all of them?
60.
They got him in?
Did they?
Did everybody get him in?
They had a bunch of doubleheaders.
Like triple headers. Yeah, I looked at their record, and I believe I'm going to double check. I think it was 31-29.
But I will say the one thing I did like was checking box scores and seeing this team wins game 2 of a doubleheader in 7.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Little League and like the weekends that we would spend playing in tournaments and stuff like that. When the pitcher can't throw more than 7 innings, over the weekend,
man,
and you have to be done in 7.
By the way, I'm incorrect looking at Baseball Reference. His full name is Jazzrado Hermes Arrington Chisholm. So I was correct in being suspicious about the idea of a guy actually being named Jazz.
Okay.
It also answers a question of what could Jazz be short for.
We've learned a lot today.
Jazzrado.
Good work, everybody.
Thank you. He's from the Bahamas.
You guys want to call it early? I feel like we've done everything we're going to do here.
We're done. That's it.
We put in a solid 20 minutes on what has been otherwise a proud night for American democracy. I think we've worked harder than everybody else.
Have.
Oh my God. Like I have never, I think, been more afraid for a moderator than Chris Wallace. Like you get like 20 or 30 minutes into this thing and you're like, where does he go from here? Because you could see he's like trying to keep control of this thing. And he's arguing with the president, just like basically wait your turn. And it's not going anywhere.
No.
And Chris Wallace, though, is also somebody that, frankly, doesn't take a lot of shit. And, he's not afraid to try to push back. But then after a while, like this whole thing became so bizarre. I'm expecting him just to like curl up in the fetal position with a bottle.
I wanted to.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
total chaos within like 20 seconds. Like 20 seconds in, they were already talking over each other, and I was like, I can't listen to this.
It was the presidential debate manifestation of every time out at a home Clippers game, where
Oh my
like
God.
all of a sudden there are acrobats in one spot and t-shirt cannons, and the condor is running all over the place. It's like what the hell just happened here?
The
Like,
magic act where they change outfits.
yes. That's my favorite. My favorite thing about like Steve Ballmer is like he owns a team. He comes in like, okay, what are we doing? What do we do? Like, what's our experience like? Okay, well, we got acrobats and we got our dancers and we've got some t-shirt cannons and we do the thing where the people dress up in the sumo outfits and bump into each other. And I was okay, great. What are we doing on the second time out? No. That's the whole game. So no, we're doing all that at once. What's the second one? Like that was that debate tonight. It's ridiculous.
It's too much for the human brain to process and handle at one time.
I feel like they should have called the debate at the moment they found out Jazz's full name was Jazarius. Like that. There was a moment somewhere in the first 20 minutes where that happened. Everybody should have just like, good.
We're done. We got it.
If you had bet like the over-under, how far into this does it go off the rails? Like if you had bet the under at 1 second, you win. Like there's no under low enough that you couldn't win.
There was no warm up. There was no like getting into it. It was just immediate like, holy shit, I'm getting on.
Yes, that was the problem. That was the problem with tonight. Like if the first 20 minutes had been like, okay, and then it kind of got worse as it went along. And I think, yeah, look, I mean, you like the guy, you hate the guy, whatever. Like by now, everybody knows what the deal is with Donald Trump. Like everybody's expecting at some point for this thing to just get crazy and weird or whatever. But like, you're right. It was like the guy came out of the bullpen after an injury and then they did no warm up pitches and just, here we go. It was horrible.
There's also no commercial breaks. So it just kept going. And not only like if they're not going to do commercial breaks, just do like, okay, we're going to take a quick pause. We're going to pull it together. We all needed a break. They definitely needed a break. Just like keep it like on track and just pull it in and be like, okay, we're going to stop here for 1 minute just so everyone can not cry.
I saw your tweet where you volunteered to pay for a commercial break.
That's how I felt. I was just like, what do I have to do? I just want one commercial break just so I can decompress for a second because it's too much.
Yeah, I mean, like it really just like before even the first question had been answered, you're just like, oh Jesus, like is this really where this is? No, it was just crazy. Like me Marie's last said I was waiting for Steve the Bouncer from Jerry Springer to come out. Like it just was nuts. And to answer the question, granted LA had, why can't they mute the mics? Problem solved. The problem with that, I think, is the more you start muting, the more you're going to inevitably seem to some people like you're taking sides. But also, too, like there is a certain amount of interruption that I think is accepted with this. It just went way the hell off the rails tonight. But I think it would be very difficult to be the muter, like the person in charge of that.
I mean, they're supposed to have certain periods of time that go uninterrupted. And I think that just preemptively on both sides, just be like, we're going to mute you for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Shut the hell up. No one can hear you. You probably still see like Trump like mouthing words because he'd still be talking, thinking that he's getting words in, but just muted.
It was crazy. Okay, really quick, because you brought Brian had brought up the Clippers entertainment, and I think then Lana, you brought up the guys who they change clothes.
Quick change, love them.
Quick change.
Yeah.
And I guess spoiler alert for anybody who has ever wondered this and doesn't. Do you know how they do that? Because I've always wondered how they actually do that. I find it legitimately amazing every time.
We've watched the same act for a decade. And every single time I sit there and I stare at it, because sometimes you can see little gaps in their little curtains or whatever, and I have no fucking clue how they do it. And then she changes her hair.
You need to explain to people because people might not understand.
Okay, Quick Change for people who don't know. Quick Change is the second best act in the halftime thing behind Red Panda. Red Panda. She's the GOAT.
Okay.
Red Panda, for people who don't know, I don't know who doesn't know. Red Panda is the person who rides the giant unicycle and flips bowls onto her head and never misses. Third is the amazing Slottick, the old guy who climbs up and does handstands on the chairs.
Like the circus.
Yes, it is exactly like the circus. But Quick Change is a man-woman act, and they run around in circles, and it's very old-fashioned sort of magician-y, Vegas-y type thing. And the guy like puts this like ribbon and circles around the woman, and shakes something and she changes her clothes, and like all of a sudden she's wearing a red dress and then she's wearing a green dress, and then they do it again, and it's the same thing
super
for 10 minutes, and I have no really fucking clue how they do it, and I've always wanted to know how.
It's hard to explain without it sounding like not as exciting and interesting as it actually is, because every time I'm just like, how are you doing that?
I'm glad to hear that reaction from both of you, because my fear was that you were going to both start laughing because the explanation is so obvious. Like,
it is obvious.
I can't for the life of me figure out how, like, Red Panda, like, I can't do what she does on that unicycle with the bowls, but I understand how she does it. Like, conceptually, you just practice stacking a bunch of bowls on your foot and flipping them onto your head, and you either can do it or you can't. But I get how it happens.
Yeah.
I have no idea how they do that.
I don't know. And maybe someone does know and will tell us. I don't know that I want to know. I feel like it just adds to the mystique of it. I remember the first time I saw it, though, because you're just kind of like, what's happening here? Oh, okay. And then it just keeps going, and it's just increasingly impressive. And it just really stays with you, stays in your heart, burns. You know,
it's unbelievable.
I'll be honest with you, like, who's that? Who's like is it David Blaine, like the magician illusionist guy who's kind of a dick but does like crazy shit? Like,
I don't know that.
But he does all kinds of weird things that are like amazing. I am no less curious about how he does this like giant production stuff that's on, 17 networks, and he gets paid like $1 billion for, than what the quick change people do. Like, I find them equally mystifying.
Yeah.
They also, like, to Brian's point, they seem much nicer than David Blaine. Like, the quick change man and woman seem much more pleasant to be around.
On the show.
Oh,
that's a great idea.
We really should have them on.
Although I got to be honest with you, Lana, I don't think they do that for free. Like, I don't think quick change does anything for free.
But you don't have to have them perform on the show.
I don't think they do. I mean, I'm talking about coming on here and doing this, like just talking.
Well, there's certainly one way to do it.
Start a GoFundMe if you need to. Have it crowdsourced and get them on here. I mean, they should do it for free just because it's fun. But, do what you got to do. At least ask.
That's true. The answer is always no until you ask. I mean, we might as well figure that out.
And then maybe their fee's what, like $50? You never know.
I have a feeling it's more than 50.
I mean, I'm sure it's more than 50, but maybe you could get them for 50.
55.
Should I be charging for being here?
I will do. How about that? I wonder if we could do it. What if we could get all of them? Like, just get all of them and go like septuple box with the quick change people, the amazing Slottick, Red Panda, and just do all of them in one night.
That would be such. You know what you should do though? Is do that as like some sort of fundraiser thing online, and then they feel like they have to do it because it's for a good cause.
Oh, that's right.
That is true.
A real one, or do we have to actually have a real one in mind, or can we just fake it?
I mean, look, if things don't pick up pretty soon, the GoFundMe could legitimately be for me and Brian.
Right.
Well,
like, it could actually be the charity.
For you.
Also, too, were we talking about David Blaine or Chris Angel?
I think both of them are equal in my mind in terms of what we were discussing.
I mean, aren't most illusionists just kind of
That's
assholes?
What I'm saying.
I don't know. I mean,
I've been to the Magic Castle, and
except Doug Henning.
Doug Henning seemed very nice. You've been to the Magic Castle?
Yeah, a really long time ago.
Yeah, I've been long ago. It's an interesting place, but it's.
I went once and that was okay. Like, I know some people, it's like a big deal for some people, and I was like I don't know. It's an interesting experience.
I just want to know. I really just want to know how they do that, because I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, Brian and I have been to so many NBA games now at this point and doing this for our careers. So we've seen a lot of quick change. No idea.
Never gets old. They've changed almost nothing in the act too.
Yeah.
It's like even like the costume. I mean, kudos to that lady for staying the same size over 10 years. I know I haven't, but like, I don't think they've invested in like new costumes even. Like, It's pristine.
It's just
Oh, we'd also have to get those Russian people who bounce the people on the acrobats on the bendy pole. Like that they're who you get when you can't get all the other people, I think.
you got to get all of them for your charity fundraiser for TBD. And
TBD Save the Cam Brothers fundraiser. The little dog, like the little Chihuahua who does tricks on the basketball is also adorable.
That's one of my personal favorites.
That dog is. Do you have a dog? Because I know Molly's all into pirate.
Not right now. It's
really
sad. I know, it's very surprising for me too.
What, have you had a dog in the past?
Yes, I have had a dog before, and I'm a huge dog person, and I love dogs, and I talk about dogs all the time. And we always talk about, because I want to get a new rescue dog, and we talk about it all the time, but it just hasn't happened yet. So
I was so excited, actually. Like, it made me feel really cool and awesome. There was a recent NBA game where they cut back. It might have been Lakers Nuggets, actually. They cut back to the virtual fans, and they were all holding mostly dogs, but a few cats.
Oh.
That all of them were rescues from Best Friends, the animal shelter out here. Which they're no kill, they're great, and they're actually where we got our dog. So it made me like really, really excited that like seeing them get a shout out. I recommended them on Twitter. I would love to see them get more people coming in. They're a terrific shelter. Our dog is amazing. She's fantastic. And they did a really good job hooking us up with her and matching us. So highly recommend Best Friends Animal Shelter if anybody's looking for a dog or a cat.
Andy, to his credit, Andy is very good about rescuing animals. Andy's cat is also Andy's cat was rescued from a bucket.
Yes.
A bucket. He's a bucket cat.
My friend Todd was driving somewhere and he saw, I believe they were nuns, actually. They had rescued these kittens.
I thought you were going to say they abandoned them.
No. They're nuns, Brian. My God. They're women of God. Give them a little more credit. But they rescued these kittens that I guess their mother either got separated from them or I guess could have abandoned them. I'd like to think better of that mother cat. But anyway, they were separated way, way too young from their mom. And they put them in this bucket and didn't really know what to do with them, like according to my friend. And my friend just took the entire bucket of kittens and got them all adopted. So my cat was, I guess, separated from its mom at this super young age that you could totally, like when I first got her, she was little enough that I could actually put her in my hand. Like I could palm her. And you can tell that she was never properly weaned because she does that on me. Like she'll just sit in my lap and just basically mimic like she's on her mom, getting milk. And it's both adorable and it makes me a little sad.
How old is the cat now?
Cat's 15.
I'm just watching Andy's 15-year-old cat trying to latch is a little strange. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, she's little. I mean, she's unfortunately got some health problems. She's really skinny. She's like a 5-pound cat now.
Yeah.
My daughter calls her the skinny legend. She's just so little, but yeah, she's 15, and
wow,
it's sad to watch her get so skinny, but she seems not to be uncomfortable or anything.
Yeah, I think my cat was always small. He was a feral cat that we adopted, and he was mean his whole life, but that's not the point. The point is he was small and really skinny, and we thought he was dying for like 5 years, and he lived until he was like 18.
Yeah, when I took
has an aunt who does that, but not everybody has a cat who does that.
All right, hold on. I'll be right back.
Is he getting the cat?
I think he's going to get the cat. Yeah. Wasn't Bucket of Cat? I feel like Bucket of Cats would have been a good name for like the first version of your podcast.
Yeah, I think it
wouldn't have been bad.
Yeah.
Oh, here we come.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What's the cat's name?
Belle.
Oh.
Here we go.
Belle Bucket.
Oh yeah, she is super into this.
Does Belle also like quick change?
By the way, I'm 2 letters into what TBD as our charity could stand for. And so far, it's the tendonitis bursitis something. And the best word I can come up with is department, but that's not a thing.
Department?
Yeah. I need a better word for D.
Jeez, granted, LA, there's a nicer way to ask. How old is that thing? 15, granted.
I just turned 45, granted. Oh, you mean the cat.
Yeah, so yeah, it's funny. Like she's got a thyroid issue. Like she has to be on a special diet and stuff like that. And before we figured out what was going on, her behavior started getting just completely out of control. And she was just like sprinting all over the house and like sometimes peeing and crapping in just random weird places. And we couldn't and she was just constantly meowing and we couldn't figure out what was going on. So we finally took her to the vet. Like we hadn't taken her to the vet in a long time because she's so uncooperative. They can't examine her. Like her carrier has all these different stickers with C that stands for caution. And like her file was like may bite, will bite, absolutely bites. And like it just kept getting worse. But they figured it out that it was a thyroid issue. And also like the way they explained it, it's basically, it feels to them like they're on a 24/7 Coke binge. And like, it just never stops. And they're just sped up constantly. It's like, how do I mess with my thyroid? And the problem is what exactly?
Fun.
Some cats have all the luck, man.
The next day, Andy shows
No
up.
wonder the cat got so skinny.
That is true.
His internist's office the next day going, I got a thyroid problem. I'm taking it straight to Vegas. Here we go. Oh man. So what happens if what if the Dodgers win a World Series this year?
I don't know. I think it's weird.
If you're a Dodger fan, do you really want them to win this one? Like, what if this is the one they win and then they go like this becomes the new 1988 and you got to wait another like 25 years for another World Series? Is that going to be really satisfying to people?
No, it's not. But part of it is it's, a weird season. It's a short season, but also like you can't even go to any of these games unless like Manfred allows people to go to the World Series inside the bubble, which seems like an oxymoron to me, by the way. Like, how do you have a bubble and then say, what, we want fans there? It's no longer a bubble if there are fans present. But like, it just like, there's no like rooting for your team the whole way in the regular season, going to games. And I know not everyone goes to games and that's not everyone's experience with a team, but it's just like, I don't know if it's cathartic enough.
I mean, the Lakers, for example, at least went through a season. Like I mean, it's a weird one, and like they're winning, they're in Orlando and all that, but they played 60 whatever games before it stopped, and then they went and they played a real playoffs without, the rules didn't change and all. It was just different. Like I feel like that would have a better conclusion if the Rams won a Super Bowl this year, if they managed to get through the season. We saw, the news today with Tennessee. Like that would be weird, but like it would be 17 games and they kind of get through it. And again, the rules didn't change, I guess, other than like the practice squad and stuff like that. I don't like if the Cardinals won a World Series this year, I would be like, I like the Dodgers winning would be great for the city under normal circumstances. I root for them.
They even have a parade.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can have a parade.
Fans
it's
would
a weird
assemble.
thing that just happens, and then we just move on with our lives.
If the Angels in Orange County, if they had somehow managed to get in the playoffs and won a World Series, I guarantee they'd do a parade up there. I mean, they've totally thrown caution to the wind in Orange County.
Yeah, they don't care anymore, except for Disneyland, which still can't open.
People would assemble though, right? Like they just meet somewhere and do it. But like the team you can't stage a real rally in a parade. Like you can't do that. You can't do it.
No.
That's bad PR.
I mean, I just don't know what would happen. I think Molly and I said yesterday when she and I were talking that she's like, I wonder if they would do like some sort of like drive-through type situation where they like charge you to like drive through like near the stadium.
So wait, so would you be in your own car, just
Yeah,
like
in your own car, just like wave.
Are you?
People? I don't know. So it's like,
Well, like, are the
parade.
Dodgers like? So is it like a reverse parade where like
I
the
guess.
Dodgers are basically stationary and everybody drives around
Yeah,
them?
I don't know how she's envisioning this situation.
That's
That's actually genius. I know what you do is you stage, because the parking lot is so big, you just stage different people around the lot in different, like, oh, we're going straight to lot F because that's where Kenley is. You know, like that's how we're doing it.
It's like one of those like Christmas, like the Christmas lights streets where you have to like kind of caravan through, but it's Dodger players.
Oh, it's like what they. It's like what they do. The Christmas lights at the zoo. Like, you know, there's that one area where you're on the and you're on the train. Like that's the way you do this. And like, you know, you go by one section and you'll just see like Justin Turner by himself with like one of those squirt guns and he's like spraying people. Like, that would be so bizarre. I kind of want to see it. Like, it's about the most fun way you could do this because they can't have an actual parade.
Yeah.
Like,
we can't have anything. We can't have an actual anything this year.
We cannot have a damn thing. It's the worst. It is but you know, like we were talking before about the Lakers. Like I think if the Lakers manage to win this championship, it's going to feel like a real championship. Not just because, you know, they played most of the season before it happened. We also know that being in that bubble was hard. So like in a lot of ways, this is a harder championship to win than just the typical one that you go through in the playoffs. The Dodgers, if they win this year, I'm not saying it's illegitimate or anything, but it doesn't feel harder in any way. It just feels like they won a World Series.
It just feels random. Whatever happens this year feels random.
And like the thing is like I think you can maybe argue that it's harder than usual because there wasn't as much prep and because there's like basically an extra round of the playoffs. But to me, it feels more random. A 3-game series is so random. We're literally like one misplay can probably cost you the entire postseason.
Right. Yeah. It's like, how can the Brewers beat the Dodgers? Because it's a 3-game series. Like
literally anything can happen. They could beat them in a 3-game series in the regular season. So
like, do you know that like the name of the guy who's starting for the Brewers in Game 1 tomorrow is like Bill Suter or something? Like, I've literally never heard of the guy. He might as well play for the Marlins. I don't know who he is.
It's because their like star pitcher got hurt.
Right, but like that guy could throw the game of his life. He could have a career game. He could throw a no-hitter. Stranger things have happened.
That's how bullshitty baseball is. And that's why like the 3-game series sucks because it's not like any other sport. It's not football. It's not basketball. It's total random crap things happen all the time. And in the 3-game series, it's just like the chance of the better team, you know, there's still a chance, but bullshit's going to reign no matter what in a 3-game series.
But after this round, then they move to like one place and everybody plays in the same spot and it's best of 7, right?
Well, yeah, they have 2 bubbles.
Okay.
They're having a bubble here and a bubble in Texas. So the American League bubble's here and the National League bubble's in Texas.
Right.
So the Dodgers are going to leave Los Angeles.
Well, so I think
and go play somewhere else.
Why they did it, but no one has home field essentially.
Okay. But is it home field if there are no fans? I guess you know your home. You know your home park. Site. Yeah, you know your home park and the little nooks and crannies.
There's no home beds, is what it really is.
Right.
Like there's no creature comforts of being at home, which I personally feel like the Dodgers at least. I mean, I know they're getting that in this wild card round. Like they actually get to, I guess, live at home unless like they're doing something.
No, I think everyone's having to like quarantine because before the bubble.
And Jesus, what was the point of that? I feel like the Dodgers are being punished for actually winning the National League.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like for this, they might as well just like, well, screw it. As long as we get in, who cares? I mean, because I'm not worried about them because they've been really good. I mean, they did exactly what I thought they would do before the season began. which was put a hammerlock on at minimum the division by 20 or 30 games in.
The Padres, though.
Yeah.
They're kind of fun. I like what
They're
I mean.
Fun this
I like
year.
the
it's
uniforms.
actually fun that there's competition.
Yeah.
Maybe not in like a short season with like bullshit playoffs, but generally speaking, it's more fun when there's another team in the division that's like going to offer some sort of challenge.
One team. Like sometimes
just one team.
Right. Sometimes the NL West has literally been like the Dodgers and 4 minor league teams.
Right.
Like it's the AFC. It's the AFC East of baseball.
Yeah. The NFC East right now. Oh my God. That division.
Talk about it. It's just so painfully terrible.
That division is straight trash.
It's straight trash. And it's my teams in it. And it's just like every week feels like a nightmare.
Cowboys?
Yes.
My wife's a Cowboys fan.
Oh, it's just not great.
As I talked to her about after the Seattle loss, you guys have had a legit tough schedule to open things up. You guys, I think you guys are without question the best team in that utterly trash division.
Not really saying a lot.
I didn't say it's saying a lot. I just said you're better than the other 3 trash teams. Do with that what you will.
I felt like the last game was okay.
Yeah.
Like even though they lost, I felt like it could have been worse. The games before that were real bad.
How did you become a Cowboys fan? Because you're not
from Dallas.
Oh, well, that explains it.
I was born in Dallas.
I didn't think you grew up there.
Yeah, I lived there until I was like 9, and then I lived in Idaho, and then I lived in Austin.
Okay. See, I thought the Idaho thing was longer.
I lived there for like 6 years.
Okay. It's a good run.
It's a good amount of time. I lived there from like 3rd grade through 8th grade.
You felt like you got the hang of it, got the kind of the gist of Idaho.
Yeah, I got the gist.
It was time to go.
Yeah, it's time to go.
What is living? I've only met one other person from Idaho, like in my life, like anybody who actually grew up there. What is living in Idaho like?
I was a grand champion sheep owner in 4-H. I won a trophy that I still have.
Sheep what?
Yeah, so I raised sheep for 4-H.
Oh, sheep owner. Okay.
I won grand champion. I raised 2 different sheep, and the second one, I won grand champion.
My wife did the same thing, but she's from Texas. She did the same thing 4-H, but with pigs.
Oh, see?
Was the parting experience traumatic for you?
So it wasn't traumatic because you're prepared for it. You know that it's like, going into it that this is going to happen. But I will say,
plus, who doesn't like mutton?
So what happens for anyone who's unfamiliar with 4-H? It's basically, if you're raising an animal for 4-H, what happens is you get like a baby animal essentially, and you raise it for, a very short period of time, just like several months, I think. And then you have to show it at the fair. And then when you show it at the fair, it gets auctioned off.
Yes.
And so, you can kind of maybe talk yourself into like what your animal's getting auctioned off for. But my sheep literally got sold to the grocery store I went to. So
God, that's awful.
It wasn't traumatic, but I don't eat lamb. I have an issue with
because of that.
Yeah, I think I've had lamb like a few times, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it tastes okay, but like generally speaking, I'm just like, oh.
I mean, like, because my wife said it was hard for her when she had one pig in particular that she was really attached to, and I can't remember its name. I keep thinking it's Babe, but then I keep thinking, no, that's the movie. Romeo. Its name was Romeo. That's what it was. It was Romeo. And she said it was like, she grew up, Texas, like, there's not a lot of sympathy for vegans out there. Like, it's a very new culture. But even knowing all that, knowing why you were doing all this, she said, like, moving on from Romeo was pretty tough. Like, that was hard.
Did you name the sheep?
Yeah. So my first sheep was Betsy Ross, and my second sheep was Susan B. Anthony.
Wait a minute. So young Lana Berry raised sheep and named them after feminist icons, knowing that they would be sold off for slaughter in the end.
Yeah, I was in like 4th grade.
That's dark.
It feels very anti-feminist to be honest.
It actually, you know what this gets to? It gets to the thing that always confuses me about piñatas and superheroes. How like you get the Spider-Man piñata and you beat the crap out. Like piñatas should be like Putin or Mussolini. Like you should never like you should be bad people.
Yeah, bad people.
Yeah.
No.
So which was the one? Was it Susan B. Anthony or
it was
Betsy
Susan
Ross?
B. Anthony?
Yeah. Standing on the shoulders of giants. I get it.
And it was a really proud moment for me because going into it, I was told that she was too fat. And then the judges disagreed. And that's like my one trophy that I have is like this giant sheep trophy, my claim to fame. She made me a pretty penny, and I was really excited about that. And then I had to think about it, and I was like, oh yeah.
I'm very proud of you for not letting your sheep get fat shamed. Like you
were fat. Did you tell her she was too fat?
I did not tell her she was too fat. She was told she was too fat by I don't remember the scenario. Like someone came to like check her out and see how she was coming along and like basically shamed me because she was too fat.
Moment on the lips, Susan.
And yes, like I wasn't doing it to be grand champion. I was doing it because I was just like, I saw my friend had like baby sheep. So, okay, in Idaho, we all have like lots of land. And so someone had baby sheep at my friend's house. And I was like, I want one of those. And then I figured out how to get one through 4-H. And so I did that twice just because I thought it'd be fun. And not because I was hyper competitive and trying to sell sheep to the grocery store.
that first trip in the grocery store.
We looked. I was like, my parents were like, "Do you think that's her?" I was like, "This is not."
Every time you walk by the case, just a
little bit, like especially that first month after, it's just like it could be her. Like this is upsetting.
I can't imagine.
I'm screaming, Clarice.
So I would say it's the sheep thing. I lived in like a ski resort town. So it's probably a different experience than like a lot of people in Idaho. It's like a really small like cluster of towns. And
which one?
Sun Valley.
Okay, right.
So like Bruce Willis and Demi Moore basically like owned the whole area.
Maybe they bought your sheep?
What?
Maybe they bought your sheep.
They didn't own the grocery store.
Well, but they shopped.
It was some man in a cowboy hat. I don't remember anything beyond that.
Okay.
But I loved Idaho. I just
is Sun Valley, Idaho? Is that remember? Did you see recently? Bruce Willis ended up like quarantining.
Yeah,
with Demi.
They still have a house there.
Is that where they were?
Yeah, in Haley.
Yes. Yeah. They like basically he was with like Demi, Ashton, and like the other part of their mixed family. Just like quarantining with the ex-wife.
Play with one of their kids. I think Rumor. I think it was in a play with her like in middle school. But it was just like a weird thing because like a bunch of famous people lived there. And I remember thinking that was really cool. But it was just like a very small area and everyone knew not to bother anybody. And so everyone was just very friendly. But it's kind of a weird little place.
Well, I remember actually when they put Sun Valley sort of like nationally on the map, like when they decided to touch down there and like get a house and stuff. Like I remember that being like a really big deal because that's back when they were this huge power couple.
They bought so much of that town. Like they bought the movie theater and they bought like a bunch of different businesses there. He opened like a nightclub next to the movie theater. He opened up a restaurant that's still there. And they just bought like tons of businesses and stuff like that. And then I think they sold most of it when they got divorced. But it was just like they kind of had this huge presence there. She had a house specifically for her doll collection. And we would like drive by it sometimes and it was so creepy. Like just for not like a museum that you could go into, that she had a house just to house her dolls.
Like, was it a big house?
Yeah. It was like a Victorian style. I think it was Victorian style. It was like this full-size house.
Did people also live in it or just the dolls?
I think the dolls just lived in it.
That's exceedingly creepy.
Like that's first of all, that is the definition of FU money right there. Like really, truly, like I've got so much money and I can't figure out what to do with it. I'm going to buy a house for some dolls that don't even know any of this is happening.
You mean like a dollhouse? Oh, no.
No.
A house
For my dolls.
Because they're not the same thing.
Like
No.
in our parents every year hope they can do it this
After
year.
they bought a house for Andy's dolls.
I hope they can do it this year. They do this like timeshare. Vernon Song said, and that's how the Sixth Sense came to be. They do this timeshare in Balboa Island.
Oh.
And on the island there, they rent a house for like a couple months.
I don't want to say it's a timeshare because people who do timeshares are generally stupid.
Right.
Wow.
Well, no, timeshares are a terrible idea. If you own a timeshare, it's a horrible investment.
Okay, it's a house
I don't
rental.
recommend it.
They just rent a house.
Okay, they rent a house, but on the island, because we've been visiting down there for years, so you learn all the houses on this island because it's small. There is a house that is basically all filled with teddy bears. Yes. I mean, like stacks and stacks going back, stacks going up. It is all teddy bears, but I'm pretty sure actual humans live in there.
It's really creepy.
Yes.
That house is definitely haunted.
Well, it's definitely socially awkward. I mean, I can tell you that much. Like, that's a weird ass
What would
house.
be like, I know, like, for example, like, let's say I met my eventually became wife. First time I go to her house, it's filled with bears or dolls. Like in that way, that's probably like a deal breaker. You walk away and you go, I'm glad I left with my life. How many circles beyond that do you get before you have to disassociate yourself with someone? Is it their parents? Like if you go to their parents' house and it's like that, do you then have to be like, I don't know? Or is that okay? Or is it like their grandparents? Like,
well,
how
I
many
think you need
circles
to
away?
understand their perspective on it. Like if they're like, yeah, so we're going to go in this house and it's going to be really fucking creepy and I just want to prepare you for it. Then they're not really on board with it and you're like, okay, this is fine. Like we just acknowledge that we all have weird family members who are into weird stuff. But if they're just like acting like it's totally normal, then that might be a red flag.
Or they like you go, okay, I just want to tell you, my parents have a few stuffed animals.
Right.
They kind of like stuffed animals. So you might see a couple just laying around the house, just so you know, so you don't think it's too weird.
Or if you say, when you get in there, like, hey, Don, Dave, whatever.
What?
Jazz.
This is good improv.
Yeah.
Really?
Everybody, yes, and please. What's the deal with all those stuffed animals? And they say, what stuffed animals?
Right. What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, I'm going to put on a poll on Twitter. What is creepier, a house entirely filled with dolls or a house entirely filled with
I think we all know
dolls?
it's the house.
The answer is dolls.
You
It's
think
not even close.
I don't think we need
It's not even close.
just a typical normal ventriloquist family, 8 generations.
That's like asking, like, is it creepier to have a house full of clowns or a house full of puppies?
Right. I mean, that's a stupid question.
Okay, all right. Okay, fair enough.
Pull up if you want, but I mean,
No, because there are people who actually have fears of fears of dolls. I've never heard of anybody who actually has a fear of stuffed animals.
It's weird. Like we're acknowledging that it's very strange, but if you're walk by a house and you just see a bunch of little doll faces, that's a lot more jarring and like a visceral kind of way, other than just like, oh, that's weird. Look at all those teddy bears.
Especially
like, oh
old-fashioned dolls, like old-timey, turn of the century from the aughts.
Yeah.
How close did you actually get to this house?
I mean, you can drive right by it. It was just like on like a main like little street. You just walk right up to it. I don't think we did, but everybody knew about this house.
That is so weird.
I know.
But like really, truly, like that's really when you're doing well for yourself.
Yeah.
When you can look at that and go, you know what? Honestly, not a terrible investment. Like it's really okay. I can do this.
It also means you have a fuck ton of dolls. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
too many dolls.
It's more at that point of like wealth and success, probably more of a sign of your doll amount than like the price of the house. Because I mean, it's a big house, but it's not like a multi-million-dollar house.
It's not a good way to solve your hoarding problem.
She might have spent more money on the dolls than the house at that time. So, we're talking like 1994. So,
it was the 90s.
Maybe like a few $100,000 house, which isn't nothing. But at that level, she probably had like $1 million worth of dolls.
But I was going to say, in the grand scheme of things, a $300,000 to $400,000 house, I guess, isn't a massively expensive house. But when you think about it in terms of it's a house for dolls and not humans, that's massively expensive. Like, that's a really expensive house just for your dolls.
Hey, whatever works for you.
That's crazy.
I know people like to say no judgment. Like, this is sometimes I don't think that's the right way to live. Some things deserve to be judged.
I don't know. I wonder if she still has that house. I have no idea. I think you can Google it. I think there's information on the internet about this house, but I don't know if it's still there or not. Because I know they sold so much of their properties when they got divorced. I actually thought they sold their big house, but they might have kept that since they were quarantining there.
You should reach out to the one that you were in the play with over Twitter.
Yeah, be like, hey.
See if she remembers you. Still got that weird ass dollhouse. How's that working out for you?
Hey, remember me? We were in the play together.
Hey, remember that one time like 20 years ago?
Do you remember what play it was?
Oh, it was like Big River or Big something. I don't remember, something like that. I don't even remember. I remember very little about it, but not enough that I could make references to it. And even if I could, it would still be weird.
Yeah. So, okay. How far do you think the Dodgers go ultimately?
That's an impossible question to answer.
Nobody's going to hold you to it.
No, I'm serious. Like, I have no expectation. I think they could easily make it to the World Series. And I also think they could easily get knocked out in the first round because, like, it's just a total crapshoot.
It feels like getting knocked out by Milwaukee wouldn't necessarily be easy. Like, they're not very good.
I would think that they would make it at least through the first round.
Well, but to me, the first round is the scariest.
The first round's the scariest, and it's weird, and it's, literally anything can happen. All it takes is one pitcher having a good game or one hitter having a good game, or on the other end, one pitcher having a bad game and like someone like misplaying a bunch of balls. Like, it's just comes down to like who can pull through twice. That's it, just twice.
Okay. By the way, I just saw on radaronline.com, Demi Moore is doll crazy. Months after it was revealed that the actress was dating living doll Masha Manzuka, the About Last Night beauty, wow, they're stretching back, has ponied up $2 million to insure her vast collection of toy pals. And the 56-year-old former Brat Packer has ex-husband Bruce Willis to thank for her freaky figurine fetish, dished an insider. Bruce gifted Demi with
freaky figurine fetish. That is a very Radar Online line.
Bruce gifted Demi with her first doll. When he saw how happy it made her, he began buying her dolls for any and every occasion.
See, okay, that to me sounds like when someone gets you something and you're like, oh my God, thank you. Like, that's so nice. That was such a nice, like, that was so thoughtful, especially when you're first dating and you're just like, wow, thank you for thinking of me. And then like the other person gets it in their head that like, wow, she really likes dolls. I'm just going to keep your dolls. And she's like, okay.
All right, Bruce. Like,
all of a sudden, now you got a house for him.
Okay, thank you.
And then it gets too far and you can't say like 10 years in, look, I really hate dolls. You have to stop. Like, at some point you're just like, fine, just put them in this other house so I don't have to see them.
Okay. Speaking of that, the source revealed that when Demi was married to Ashton Kutcher, he'd sometimes get so weirded out by the dozens of dolls she insisted on keeping in their bedroom that he'd get up in the middle of the night and move them. They really creeped him out.
That's more information than I needed, and
but also totally understandable.
Also makes me feel like I have a lot of credibility now because I know what I'm talking about.
No, you knew about this well before I did. Like I'm not gonna say you broke this, but
I didn't know she had them in the bedroom and he had to move them because they were so creepy. But that does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, on a lot of levels.
I don't think there's a certain point in your life where you get a little too old to have toy pals.
But they're not toys. They're creepy collectibles. It's like the Seinfeld episode when that girl that George is dating has that doll that looks like his mom. That's how I'm envisioning this whole scenario.
Do the dolls all look like Demi or Bruce? They look like female Bruces.
Oh,
I don't know, but still,
I don't know.
that is a weird thing. All right, so you're not going to predict anything with the Dodgers.
I think that's fair.
No, it's impossible to predict this year. Making a prediction would be the stupidest possible thing I could do.
Okay, before we go,
it's not that dumb.
Well,
surely there's something else you could do.
Definitely come up with something dumber. Before we go, though, you got to tell the story of your certain little LinkedIn friend.
Oh my God.
You talked about this on your podcast. We're not.
We forgot.
Yeah, they should listen to my podcast because it's a good story. Okay, I'll tell it. So in this week's podcast, which came out today, which you should listen to, it has Molly on it. So if you started watching this expecting to watch both me and Molly, just listen to that instead. But I shared a story in which Terry Francona added me on LinkedIn out of nowhere, like a few years ago, and endorsed me. You know how you can endorse people on LinkedIn for their special skills? He endorsed me for blogging, which I don't have a blog, but that doesn't matter. It would still be weird if I did have a blog. But yeah, so I shared that story because I've never talked to him. We don't know each other. I don't know that he doesn't follow me on Twitter. I don't know. Is he on Twitter? I don't know if he is, but he doesn't follow me on Twitter. So
take a look.
Was this while he was managing the Sox or when he was between jobs?
I think it was when he was between jobs. So this is what he was doing. In case anyone was wondering what he was doing in between jobs, he was on LinkedIn.
I think he was probably looking to see like maybe you could help him get a gig.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe he wanted to improve his own blogging. He was looking for a blogging mentor.
He should have asked me.
You would have helped him.
I just remember I got a notification, which I don't even know why at that time I had LinkedIn notifications on my phone because I don't usually have that app on my phone because I'm just not on there very much. But I just remember I saw like Terry Francona has like sent you an invite or whatever. And I was just like, what? And it's like a weird moment because there are people, which P.S. this is like the worst possible use of your time. There are people who impersonate like celebrities on LinkedIn. I don't know what the end game is there, but I was like, is this someone pretending to be Terry Francona, which would be really sad? And then I saw it and we had like mutual connections in sports. I was just like, this is
Terry Francona.
Weird. And I'm grateful that I never got like a creepy message from him or anything, but it was just like a standalone thing and nothing else ever, nothing beyond I got endorsed for blogging happened. So thank you.
I liked it like subsequent people who came to your LinkedIn profile then looked at it and said, Terry Francona said he's a blogger.
It would have been maybe cool at the time if it said like he endorsed me for podcasting or something. It's like, wow. Okay, like he listened to my podcast. He randomly found me on LinkedIn and was like, hey, I like your podcast. No, it was blogging. Something I don't do.
One of the only things you don't do.
It's one of the only things I don't do.
I guess we've learned also that Terry Francona doesn't really carefully read blogs because he read one and thought you did it.
Or is he
Maybe
just
he thought you were Matthew Berry?
Because LinkedIn will suggest that you endorse people for stuff. And is he just endorsing random people on LinkedIn for God knows what?
He's spreading joy.
He's spreading joy.
I I don't like LinkedIn because like you'll get those messages like, 423% more people are looking at your profile this week, and it's gone
There's too
from
much
1 to 4.
information. It's like pretty much all the messages you get are like automated sales messages. It's not a great spot to be, but sometimes things like that happen.
The weirdest thing is always when you get these congratulations for a work anniversary. And like I've been recently getting them. I'm like, I don't work anywhere.
It's a real reminder of how you have to update your resume.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm getting congratulated on, but I'm fairly underemployed at the moment.
And by the way, I need money.
I'm like, if you really want to congratulate me, send me a card with a 20 in it. Like that would really, really
send me the money for our TBD charity.
For your TBD charity.
Yeah, it's seriously, like I was getting like this just recently, like this just series of congratulations. I'm like, for what? And then I looked at, I'm like, that's
unfortunate.
Yeah. Oh, reminds me.
Thanks.
Clearly, you people don't listen to the station.
I have to do an end date now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they call you back. They're like, really sorry about your job.
Exactly. All right. Lana Berry.
You go ahead. You do it.
You say Lana Berry, the star of the Lana Berry Show with Lana Berry. This time around, no glitches whatsoever. We got through the whole thing.
We did it.
Yes, we did. This was, as always, awesome. Whenever you're available, love to have you again. This is great.
We're in a pandemic. I'm always available.
Well, maybe we'll make it work with Molly next time.
Maybe. Just let her know it's on video.
Well, we'll have to clarify. We'll have to spell out everything.
I honestly, I think until I used the words quad box on Twitter, she had no idea what was going on.
I think it was me because I was like, because we were both talking, because we both go to bed a lot earlier than we used to. And I was saying how it was past my bedtime, but I was like throwing on a little bit of makeup so I seemed presentable. And she goes, wait, is this on camera? Like, this was like 20 minutes before we were starting.
Oh, well, she's got fair warning for next time.
I will say that men, generally speaking, aren't as good about letting women know, like, when we're going to be on camera for something. Because, like, we generally need to, like, it takes a little bit more time.
Sure. We assumed she knew.
I assumed she knew since you do it every day.
I resent that you think
Twitter.
this just happens. Like, this takes effort.
But like, I get those where like someone's like, "Hey, do you want to be on my podcast?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then they're like 5 minutes ahead of time, be like, "Okay, here's the video link." I'm like, "Excuse me."
Slow your roll.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, that I agree. Like a podcast, you have to give an assumption, but I'm pretty sure we even said like, "Hey, live stream show."
Our nightly web show is how I tell people about this.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the dark web. I mean, like, where people are going to identify themselves on this thing.
I mean, I literally see you post about this show every day.
Exactly.
There's also that.
We find it's the best way to get people to watch.
So do you guys have sponsors now since you're just working for yourselves? Like,
no, we lost the sponsor, but we're basically in that building it up to give people numbers to try to like wow them.
Okay.
And then we're gonna. Why? Do you have any ideas?
I don't know. Maybe I can help you.
Okay. Sold.
Excellent.
Welcome to the Late Night Happy Hour with the Kamenetzky brothers and Lana Berry.
Or brought to you by the Lana Berry Show.
Can you get us quick change? Brought to you by Quick Change.
Oh my God, that's what you should do. You should just like sell out a spot to like anybody who will give you like $50 or $100.
So
and then brought to you by like
it's just a big Ponzi scheme.
Someone's
to get
name.
It's a big Ponzi scheme to get the quick change.
Phil.
Brought to you by Bill.
Oh, it'll be like
our podcast is sponsored.
Brought to you by Bill 2467.
It'll be kind of like, how the Packers are owned by like 75,000 people. Like you can sponsor like 1/64 of the show.
Well, I will say this, and I don't know if Andy would agree or not. If we ever did like the Patreon style, it's not going to be like extra content. We're not like we're not doing that thing where like
no, you're just
that much. Like you
please
subscribe at this level, you get like the secret show. That like no, everybody gets this, and I guess maybe if you like it, you give us money. It seems weird, but I mean,
it's like you're playing your guitar on the street with your guitar case open.
Exactly. We're holding it open for like you don't throw in a $5 spot and like the guy pulls you over around the corner and plays you like an even better song. That's not how this works.
That is true. You get the same song whether you put the money in the guy's case or not. It's exactly the same. Just
some people though with the Patreon, like they just have layers and layers and layers. And I will say this came from our friend Pete Zayas at Laker Film Room. He's like, don't do it that way. Just put it out there, and if people want to donate because they like what it is, it's much easier that way. And it's like that is the smart way to do it if you're going to be asking for money.
But yes, if you can help get the show sponsored, bring back we used to have a lot of fun with our old sponsors. So yeah, we'd be down for that.
4 million people a night watch. Is that good? Can we sell that?
It seems good
without putting it out there.
Hey.
All right.
Cool.
It's the Lana Berry Show. It's a podcast. You can find it on iTunes and wherever you get your podcasts. It was a big deal. And then she brought it back. And it's a great listen. And you should do that. And
you just had Rachel Nichols on. You had Molly Knight. You get some good folks.
I know some people.
You got you? That was a really
me.
We've been going on too long. It's already, but like that, I will say that was a really, really impressive episode where you just talked. Yes, because it is, and people should go listen to it. Really honest, just about yourself and your life and things that you like have gone. And I was like, to put stuff out there and just put yourself out there. I was really impressed, and I thought that was valuable stuff. So good job. Thanks.
What's so funny is I listen to a lot of podcasts like that are solo and heartfelt, and I'm kind of that person. And I was like, oh, easy. Like I almost felt like I was cheating. So I was like, this is so easy. I just get to talk. I don't even have to deal with somebody else. And so I will say that is the entire second time I recorded it. There's no script. There's no talking points. I recorded a whole hour-long episode, and then I sat back and I was like, I hate it. So I just went and immediately recorded an entire second episode, and I was like, great, I did it. Cool. I don't really remember what I said, but I just poured my heart out. And then the next day, I had that moment of like, oh my God, like that vulnerability hangover where I was like, I don't even want to post about it. Like, I can't believe I did that. But leading up to it, I was like, this is so easy. Like, it's just me. It's just me talking. And then the response has been so great. But that first day, I was like in a hole, like an anxiety hole. So I was like, oh my God, like, it's just me. I can't, if it sucks, I can't blame it on the person. I wouldn't blame it on my guest, but sometimes
it's
the
why we
conversation
have
isn't that great. And I'm like, no, it's just me talking about like myself and my things I've been dealing with. And, if someone's like, this stinks, I'm like, it'd be like, wow, that sucks.
No, but it's cool that you did that.
It was great. And the Molly interview was great. They're all great. So go check it out, download that thing, rate it and review it. It's important. People need to do that. All right. Well, we'll do this again.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tomorrow night, it is Game 1 of Palooza. We're not totally sure how it's going to happen, but we're just going to talk a lot about Game 1. It's the NBA Finals, people. Thursday, and Friday,
There's like 8
Game
baseball
2.
games on tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, and Game 1. It's Game 1s. And Friday, we'll talk to Vinny Bonsignor after we talk about Game 2 about the Raiders in the NFL. So we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Thank you.
Dank u, Nederland.